Hi everyone, Eric here, the Director of Exhibits for Curiodyssey, and we are back in the workshop. And we have a super fun experiment that you can definitely try at home using materials you probably have in your kitchen, and it is craters. This is a super cool experiment. And like I said, you probably have the stuff already in your kitchen. So we're gonna be taking a close look at how you can recreate this natural phenomenon with these simple materials. But I have to say it, if you like this video, please help us keep creating ways to experience Curiodyssey from home with a donation today. That link is below. But hey, let's quit waiting around and make some craters. Okay.
What do we need?
Do you know what we're doing?
Meteors!
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at how they hit the ground, right? And what they make. Do you know what the hole in the ground is called that they make? Have you ever heard of the word crater? Crater? They're like those circle holes you see on the moon that makes people think the moon looks like cheese. Is the moon cheese?
No.
No. But when things hit it, it makes a hole, right?
Yep.
So here's what we need to do this, right?
We're gonna play it.
We are.
We're gonna play.
So we have our container.
Yeah.
And then we have flour. This is some expired cake flour because we don't want to waste food. So we had this old flour we're gonna use.
And here's sprinkles.
Here's sprinkles. These are gonna act like little heavier pieces of geology, like little, almost like tiny rocks, if you will.
First these are gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'll get to that, Rye.
I can't wait.
I know, you're so excited. And then this, do you remember what this is? Cocoa powder.
Oh, right.
And this, we're just using as a color contrast to show a darker surface on it. So do you want to help me make this?
Sure.
First this one.
Okay.
Okay, so shovel some into the pie plate.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's good. Just
push.
oh, there's one other thing.
Yeah.
Right. What are these?
Rocks.
Rocks. That's right. And we're going to be using them as meteorites, right?
And then when we were picking these, Daddy said that he found one that looks like a giant potato.
That's true. Well, sometimes big meteorites look like a potato, but we also have some different ones. We have jagged ones.
Yep.
We have a very bubbly, kind of almost lighter one.
And we have like a little bit of a huger one, like this potato one that we have.
Another jagged one. Yep. Okay, now I'm gonna sprinkle the brown layer. So I'm gonna spoon a little of this.
Wait, Daddy, don't forget this.
Oh, you're right. We need that. You're right. Oh man, thank goodness my assistant is here. Do you want to sprinkle some?
Oh, sure.
Here, just try to shake it around. Good.
How about a little bit more?
I'll do a little. I just want to make an even layer. Okay, so there's our heavier rocks.
Yep.
Now we're ready to put the top layer of dust. Yeah, and then exactly. Yeah, tap it. Tap it. Okay. We are all set. We're gonna start in just a second. We're gonna switch to handheld mode. Now let's start with the little one first.
Okay.
And
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
ooh, that's great. Okay, hold on a second. I want to take a close look at this. What do you notice about the pattern that came out from where the meteorite hit?
Right over here.
Did something come out of the hole?
The powder.
The powder, the white powder, right?
Yeah.
So on the moon or on Mars or other planets that don't have as much of an atmosphere where the meteorites burn up like they often do here on Earth, you get these big holes and then you get this spray coming out, and that's called ejecta.
Yep.
And these lines that come out are called rays. You can see that on the surface of the moon.
Let's do it again.
You want to do it again? Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, here's a bigger one.
It made a big hole and it stayed in the hole. Sometimes the meteorite will actually bounce out of the hole. Which one is this one? Oh, the big jagged one.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now that is a big crater. Look at that.
Yeah, this time it was just like a real one. It bounced out.
It bounced out, and you have some nice ejecta ray patterns.
I like this bubbly one best.
Bubbly one here. All right, this one's sort of a pumice stone or something. Looks very meteorite-like.
Yeah,
Let's try it.
it even looks like a rock from under the water. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It didn't spray out as much, the lighter weight one. You ready for the potato?
Yep.
All right, assistant, whenever you're ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do it
The
again.
biggest crater of all. Okay, we might have to sprinkle a little more cocoa on the top, but oh! Oh, wait, that's a really good one. That's an awesome one. Wait, I want to look at this one. Look at this ring of lighter colored material around the edge.
Yeah.
All right, so that was super fun, right, Rye? What do you think? What did you notice about when they hit the flour and the cocoa powder? What
It makes
patterns?
a hole.
It makes a hole. And did you notice anything else?
It made lines.
Lines, yeah, that come out where the material sprays out of the hole. It's pretty cool. So this is a great experiment you can do with pretty simple, common stuff, right? Stuff we got in our kitchen for the most part.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's pretty fun, but I have another idea to explore a little further that I'm probably gonna do in my workshop. So we're gonna dive over into that because I think it's gonna be pretty cool. That was a super fun experiment. I mean, what a great thing. You can definitely do at home, do with your kids, using pretty common materials that a lot of people have in their kitchen. But I always get to thinking, how can we dial this experiment up? How can we turn it up to 11? I think it would be really fun to physically scale it up. And I think I might explore that in the future. You know, could you imagine more flour, a bigger meteorite? I mean, what if it was a bowling ball? That would be super fun. Something to look into in the future. But I was thinking here in the shop today, we could create the ultimate crater experiment with better photography, better lighting, and a better looking planetary surface. And a special rig that gives us precision targeting of the meteorite. So that's what we're gonna build right now here in the workshop. So let's get building. Okay, so it was a quick build, but let's go over the basics of the setup here. We've got the container that's gonna have our flour and cocoa powder in it. We've got our targeting setup so that we have repeatability where the meteorite hits. And then we have lighting. So we're gonna do the final setup on this, get this going, get all the shots framed in right, and it's time for a meteorite impact after that. We have my assistant here, and this is the setup all ready to go. We have our site of impact, our aiming thing. Oh, and Ryden wants to share the most important thing. We have our tiny Mars rover. I don't know, cocoa powder looks more like the surface of Mars than the moon, so here we are, the ultimate detail. Is that the sound it makes, you think?
Yep.
All right. There it is. Cocoa powder and flour. The final frontier. All right, we're gonna kick it over into slow-mo mode.
Yep.
Okay, so how cool is this?
Yeah, really cool, right?
Okay, we're dropping in. You want to do a countdown with me?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
Wow, that was so awesome. What a fun experiment and a really great setup. Let's take a look at what we have here because there's a huge site of impact and our meteorite struck and rebounded out. It took out our poor Mars rover in the process. Now, things like that can happen, not taking out a Mars rover, but when an object hits a planetary surface or the moon, they can rebound out and eject out of the impact site themselves. So that actually reflects something that you might see in a real situation. And we've got these great ejecta patterns, these rays, these lines. This one even flung some material over one of our landscape rocks that just was on the surface already. Here, I'm going to turn off the sun, go back to regular shop lighting, and you can see here how the material was thrown clear of the crater. So you have these stripes, these ejecta lines that they call rays that radiate out from the site of impact. It's also interesting to note that some of our sprinkles, there's one there covered in a little flower, there's another one there, there's some here, there's one way out here. These are pieces of ejecta. They're heavier pieces of geology that were thrown clear or ejected from the crater upon impact, and they contribute to those patterns that you see, around craters. Turn our sun back on. With this contrasting harsh lighting, you really see this classic impact site and all these radiating patterns coming out. So fun. Wow, that was just such a great experiment. So I would be excited to try that again, that is for sure. And once again, all is quiet on Cocoa Powder Planet. All right, that was so fun. I had to reset to do one more experiment. But I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, why are the objects always hitting perpendicular to the surface? That's not what meteorites do. Sometimes they come in at an angle. So that is what we're going to try to accomplish here. I have changed the angle of my meteorite launch tube to hopefully come in somewhere in here. I don't know exactly. This hasn't been tested, so we'll find out together. And we'll see what the impact looks like when it comes in at more of an angle. I know this will be a great comfort to many of you. We have revived our little friend here. Let's put him over here. This seems a little safer. I think we're ready. We are ready to launch. This is angled meteorite impact in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ho! That was a good one. How interesting. Now take a look at these results. Point of impact. And here is our meteorite. Now it ejected from the hole, from the crater, a bit, but it didn't make it as far as the earlier one, interestingly. And look at this ejecta spray, all radiating in this direction. So much so it sprayed onto our space backdrop. Our little friend here remains intact, but again, similar observations, just with some directionality to it. You have heavier pieces of geology, ejecta material that were thrown clear of the crater. You have a very sharp and defined edge on this side where it came in from this angle. And so that is really interesting. Here, I'll turn off the sun for a moment. And you can see some of these ejecta patterns, the bulk of the ejected material in sort of a field of debris going this way. There is a nice ejecta ray that's pretty close to the actual site of the impact where it came, and a little piece of heavier geology right there. As you can see, there's a lot of great observations you can make doing things like this. Ultimately, at its heart, a very simple experiment that you can definitely try at home, so I recommend it. Let's regroup back over at the workbench. So there you have it, craters. What an awesome experiment. I mean, that was so much fun. It was really, really neat to see those impacts and see how the patterns are made when the material ejects from the crater. Fascinating. And the basic experiment, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, really great experiment using basic materials you can do at home with your kids and make a ton of really interesting observations. So, hey, thanks for watching, and please help us to keep creating science exhibits and zoo programs you can enjoy at home with a donation today at Curiodyssey.org. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.